Hey guys, Aleroart here, and I am working on some pages for an art book of Old Alley Cat, and I just thought it would be a good time while I'm working. I get to talk about today's topic. I just want to go over, and I feel like I've said this before in previous episodes, and I know my episodes are stretched out, but it all comes back to it. And the thing is that today's word is perfect. Perfect. I get it. You want to dot your I's, cross your T's, and so on, yada, yada, yada. And with that being said, I run into other artists that are both new as well as some of them not so much vets, because the vets kind of see it, but I guess this is more direct to people starting. But in that aspect, I do run into people in general, and it's the word perfect. And the word perfect is a funny word to me. And again, this is just my perspective on it because it's Aleroart's podcast, right? So with that, I want to address things that people ask about, like process, and when I return the respond of, hey, how's that piece coming along, or what's going on, how's it been, or what do you been working on. Not so much a posting, because that's a whole other monster, and people tend to feel in the sense of being judged, that's where we're at in this world, especially more so with social. So when I'm asked about working on projects, I kind of give the old Andy Warhol line: just make artwork, put it out there, let them critique it, and while they're critiquing it, make more. Keep going, just keep consistent. And that's the word that I always play back, and I tell people. I even have it on my vision board. You guys don't have a vision board, should have one. You should look at it all the time. It should be like your top commandment of following as a individual in life, and as well as a person that's creative. Be consistent. And part of that people hold on to on the top is perfect, and I don't have that on my vision board. And when people ask my process, I need to make something and then move on. I need to make something again, I need to move on. I need to create and move on. And look back at stuff, and some of it I say I could have done better, but for the time and my feeling, I just needed to create and then move on. So the reason for this episode is I hear the word perfect. It has to be perfect. This is perfect. I heard it all through art school a zillion years ago, and I've heard it afterwards. And I hear it at comic shows. I hear it at events. And the thing is that, are you putting it out there, or is it still like that perfect stew that you're just waiting for it to be perfect, then you could serve it? And I don't want to brag or anything, but I know how to cook. So my thing is like, hey, we gotta add some seasoning, add some delicious garlic. I love garlic. I'm anti-vampire, but I love garlic. Anywho's, it's good for your blood, by the way. But with that, I'm always being approached to say, hey, man, you're just consistent. And that's cool. And I think that's good in my head. And I don't look at it as I take breaks, guys. I fully do. I go watch a movie. I hang out with my friends. I have a family. I try to do other things, but as a creative, I'm always thinking about my art, which is, I don't know if I'm ever going to get over that, but I do take a break. I do have hobbies outside of drawing. I do draw as my hobby as well, but I collect old ROM video games, like arcades and retro Nintendo. Mentioned this before, and if you guys didn't know, now you know. I like to hunt and find these games, but that's besides the point of being just an artist. I like to have different outlets, not so much call them hobbies, but outlets, and it's just to break up that. But back to the word perfect, when people overdo it in the sense is like, it's not perfect, it's not perfect enough, it's not. And you gotta have a cutoff time, you need a breather, you need to step back from that picture, you need to step out of that square that you're in. And I get it, it's goal time and you're gonna go in there, but at some point you gotta know how to cut the cord, and that's it. But the people that actually don't get to that part, this is who I'm kind of addressing. And it's the step of the process of idea, thumbnail, rough, line, and color add if needed. And I guess I'm speaking about like in creating comic art or a painting. But I get a lot of the people that are in that second gear in the process of sketching, and it's not perfect enough. And the thing is that those lines are just there just to give you a guidance of what your final line is supposed to be in that sense. And again, sometimes that line isn't what we want, but we got to put it down, especially if it's a deadline. And I don't know if that's like it's a crippling of holding, completing, but knock on wood, I'm knocking on my forehead, in that superstitious kind of way, that you just gotta eat it up and just go on to the next thing, because you kind of learn from it. You learn from that level of brainstorming, and you just got to go with it and move on. But lately I've been interacting with other artists and creators, and I'm like, I'm making something, but it's not there yet. And you kind of speak with them in the sense of like, hey, I spoke to you a couple of weeks ago or even 6 months ago, and you're still creating. And again, each his own, but when you're telling people and you're letting them know, it's like, well, what's the next step afterwards? When is the next process of getting to the next level, or have the greatest American novel? It's just not there yet. I have one mentor that he talks about that. He has this great story, but he's not ready with it. And unfortunately, we're in you look at factor and time, and he's up there in age, and it's not there yet. It's not perfect, is what he says. And I look at him and I see, he's this he's like a curmudgeon Yoda, and I don't want to say his name, but he does have this characteristic of giving me insight of learning about artists of his time, and as well as artists that influence the artists that I'm influenced by. So with that being said, I ask him, well, when are you going to put out a book, or why don't you do shows or whatever? And I hear, oh, it's not ready yet. And I flash back of always hearing this person that would always tell me this person has the greatest story. Well, where is it at, is what I say. Oh, it's not ready yet. And it's like, well, okay. But the part about it that I kind of laugh at is they're kind of putting my artwork down in the sense of like, well, I know somebody who's better than you. The person won't directly say it, but he will, and I'm going to say he because it is a he, and he would explain that this person that he's big upping never does anything. And it's just that thing, and I really wish the guy would have his work. I really wish the guy would be at shows and just to be like, cool, because as a creator, or as me as an artist, I'm in the healthy competitive side of like, if he does something, I got to do it. And it should be for everybody. Everybody should be sharpening their sword based off of what the person they see around. Not so much of being envious, but wanting to do more. I don't have that many people that I'm just like, wow. And actually, in the sense, I don't see anybody that I'm just like, oh, they're my competitors in that sense. But I do see people that I admire, and you know, a lot of them, I just see them, I'm like, man, that's just so cool because what they do. Not that I'm trying to emulate what their style, whatever. It's just that they have a totally different style, and it's just so cool. A lot of them I'm very fortunate enough to interact with on social media, and they, they give me shout outs and dap back. That's basically like telling me, yo, that means a lot, and it's really cool to do that. Besides, going to a show, or even how we were in shutdown with quarantine, can't really go out and see people, but that's besides the point. Explaining the whole thing of perfection, and we all have that. We all have that. What is it the kids call these days? Cringe, like they freak out at. But you just gotta just put it out there. And we're seeing so many posts where everything's perfect, but they don't see the struggles, the cuts, the bruises, the blood, the tears, all that stuff that's put in there. And I am not saying for everybody that needs to, how do you put it? Not to be able to share their background, but hey, man, you build up to be that you just didn't show up and be, perfect. And I know a lot of people use that as their visual, and it's, it's cool, but when they see it, I just feel like that person that thinks is perfect needs to know that, there's trial and error. That cartoonist did a lot of practice. That painter did a lot of paintings. That dancer danced their ass off. Some video games, some movies were flops, and other ones, these big names, hit it out the park. But that's all we remember or do know, and they come off as being, those are perfect. But I think it's a thing that the individual is too hung up on and needs to be perfect. My work has to be perfect so the big publishers can like me, and that's great. And all. I love my Spider-Man, and I love Batman and everything. But for myself, I'm gonna continue making my characters that continue on, that people dig, and down the line, hopefully, if I can make that bucket list of just doing something related to the big two, that would be great. But in the meantime, I can't just sit and say, oh, it's not perfect enough. But I do believe in hard work, and I believe in just keeping consistent. I believe in talking with people and opening the channel of we're all learning and being consistent. But if you're your arms crossed and can't show nobody because it's not done yet, that's sad, that's horrible. And I know a lot of people like, oh, I have the greatest drawing in the world. Well, what is it? And it's not ready yet. Or I got this greatest story, but it's not ready yet. And it's like, when is it ready? And why? It's perfect, but when are you going to put it out there? When is it going to come? When are you going to do that? And why are you allowing yourself to be paralyzed in that and stopping you? You just got to just do it. And again, this is my perspective. This is Aleroart podcast. And I do these podcasts because I ask these questions and I wonder, do you guys think about this too? And if I could be the example of this, is just basically seeing really great people, really great ideas. They just need to put it out there. We need your stories to be told by ourselves, and we're always thinking it has to look like so and so. You don't have that budget. You don't have that tool, but you can create stuff. If you can't animate, you can GIF, and that's that GIF. That's that thing where it's a mobile. My words are mumbling. It's the minimum animation that just gives the sign of. It's basically animatic, if you will. My animators know that word. And the word GIF, you see them all around memes. You see them online. But to that point is, if you could do 3 panels or even something that moves minimum, you're showing animation. And if you get that to the right person, they can help you with that. And it's a thing where you might not get that person, but you're at least showing people from your vision that you animated. I'm not an animator, but I could do a GIF. I could do 3 to 5 cells of a character blinking or walking, and I just need to do that because some people aren't as visual, and they say, well, what does he look like walking, or how does he look blinking? I'm using Aleroart as an example because that's my guy. And what it is that it's not perfect, but it's, presentable. And that's what I want you guys that are thinking you have to be perfect, it has to be through this animation, and it has to have this and that. But what if you don't have the budget, man? What if you don't? What if you could only use what you have around you? And what if you can't use a computer to do the GIF? But if you have a smartphone, you can do stop animation with a piece of paper and a flip book. And I teach that with my students, with my workshops and my after-school classes when I ask about animation. You're drawing ABC, you're drawing the bouncing ball, and so on. You just want to show motion. And for that, back to the perfection and being perfect, you just need to show that you can do it. And that's my whole purpose of these audios, and to explain the method is that everyone, we're kind of just frozen up of ourselves. Sometimes it's family, sometimes it's close friends, and then sometimes it's this social media. And if you can cut out the people in the social media, and if you could tell your friends like, hey, I got to cut you out because that, and especially for family, bringing that closer, you have to make that decision. And a lot of them don't understand what us creative people do. And a lot of it is more of a fear that you're not going to do it. But for yourself, you as the creative, you have to just do it. Just put it out there. And next time it will be better. And it always is, because that's what being consistent is all about. And I never tell myself that my stuff will be perfect. I am in the mindset of needing to create, and there's more that you put out there, stuff tends to be second nature, and it's like a muscle. And I believe it doesn't happen overnight. It takes time. A lot of my workshops with my students is creating fan art of their favorite characters. And I can't tell you how many times I've drawn Lilo and Stitch, mainly Stitch, and I don't know why it's popular right now, even though it came out in early 2000s, which is funny, but that's not my job to care why is it popular. It's just that I can draw this character from memory now because of practice. And the very first picture I imagine probably looked like the Grogu or the Gremlin, but being consistent, it's my style, and it's presentable, and they say it's perfect. In my head, it's like, it's okay, but I can't say perfect. And that's another thing where I just tell these young kids, if I can get them before they start hearing the word, oh, it's not perfect enough, I just want them to create. And that's the beauty about the youth. They're just about making stuff, but something happens when they turn into tweens to teens. They get self-conscious, and it's like somebody's telling them something, and it has to be perfect. But I have had students that after a while they understood, just make art, and that's it. And for those people that are critiquing, let them critique, because that's all they have. But you, as the individual, boy, girl, man, female, young to old, we're always around that. But the word perfect, what is that? The perfect novel, the greatest American novel. And like I bring up my curmudgeon mentor again, he has that wise Yoda-esque talk, like you should learn this and that. But for him, it's very sad that to be stuck in that mindset of not perfect enough, not perfect. And they just need to put pen to paper and just put it out there and let the universe judge that. And if that's what it is, if you need to have them, you got to do it for yourself. When I make Aleroart products, it's for me, it's for my joy, it's my enjoyment of why I love character cartooning. I don't own Snoopy, I don't own Spider-Man, but I have my own character, Aleroart. And Aleroart, I could have him jump around like a superhero. I could have him typing on a typewriter like Snoopy does. You know, it's the sky's the limit. And right now, while I'm talking, I am putting together the Aleroart art book. And the art book is just compressed of 6 to 7 years of different things that Aleroart is involved in. When I mean involved, he lives primarily on the internet, but I got him onto apparel, on t-shirts, on a hat, socks, leggings for ladies. He got animated into a little demo of a skateboard app game, and it's hilarious. It's on my Instagram as well as the Aleroart Instagram page. And the thing that I don't tell myself has to be perfect, because at the time right now I just want to create, and you should want to create. But I understand there's jobs that require the best. You just build up to that, but you understand after a while you just got to put your best foot out there and put the work out there, and that's it. But being perfect, and I guess if I ever see Aleroart that someone says it has to be perfect, then I'm saying it for myself. Aleroart has to be, he's always evolving. Aleroart right now has, yellow eyes. He didn't have eyes before, but now he does. This year he has, he wears magical magician gloves. He didn't have those before. And I just thought, let me try that. It's just, I want to try different things, and it may not be perfect. I could put him back to his regular clothes or look after a while, but in the meantime, it's progressing. And you should be progressing as well too. And you should always be, it's like weird metaphors when you hear people saying like still water and flowing water. You want to be so consistent in the flow that you should always want to receive and give instead of just stopping and just taking. That's weird analogy, but the point of that is that you want to be consistent, and the word perfect is kind of like, it's not there. Some of it will be perfect for people, and then other people will expect more of it, and I can't interact with those people. I have to be out there and creating, and when I'm done, I move on to the next thing. And if it's perfect, it's perfect. But if not, hey, move on to the next one, and then fix your work for next time. But you can't be stuck on a project more than a couple of months to weeks, even years. I have true in my own words, I have 2 projects that I need to get done. I'm working with my awesome writer in England, and we're wrapping up her second book, and I'm in the stage of just coloring and lettering, and that's it. I'm done. And then I get to go back to my other projects, and in my head I have it formulating how I want my 2 books to end, because I'm gonna be mid 40s now, and I have 2 stories and I need to get them done, and I can't just be sitting there. You gotta have action. You just gotta be consistent, and the word perfect cannot be part of that. I know that when I drew these pages of my 2 stories years ago, the style is drastically changed and could be better, it could be for the worse, but the point of it is it's gonna be done when I could just see it, the book closed, and that's it. Just like I'm gonna see this second book closed, I'm gonna be done with it, and if we work on it for the future again, beautiful. But in the meantime, my brain is already saying I have these 2 personal projects I have to finish, and that's it. As a creator, you should just want to be growing and expanding with your branding catalog. So if I'm teaching, or I'm doing murals, or if I'm doing comics, I'm always looking for the next thing. Talking about art on a podcast, it brings a bit joy, because I know people that ask these questions but don't get the answer. So when people do reach out and they listen, thank you very much. It really does mean a lot to get your feedback, because I'm just like you guys. And my thing is, I know my first podcast I had a lot of uhs, and I probably said in this one as well too, but I learned how to control that. And that's the thing about being perfect. People feel, well, I'm not perfect enough. My voice isn't perfect enough. But when is it? When do you just stop holding up the wall, or you go out in a dance floor and just dance? Just go out there. Why? Because it doesn't make sense of just standing there. And that's that standstill water. That's that standing there looking. Don't you want to be part of it? Just do it, and not have that sense of being perfect. A lot of us look at other people and say, well, they're perfect. But you don't know their story. You don't know how hard they worked. Maybe they are looking at other people, but they just go out there and just do it. So all of this episode I'm talking about of being perfect, just create. If it's a sketch, just get it done and move on. If it's a painting, just get it done and move on. Have a couple of projects, but you got to get them done. More importantly, finish a project. I am 72 pages finished with this Aleroart art book. I'm putting in pages that, when I see them, that was my earlier work compared to my present work. And I have to put it in there. Why? Because I have to show growth. And as an artist and as a creator, you got to have that. You got to be a fool if you just think you're perfect. And the reason why I say fool is because there's somebody out there that's learning from you, and they think that's how you have to be perfect. And I have to show my progress. I have to show things that I created that I was happy with, and I moved on. You know, I'm always going to look at stuff and say, I could have done that better, and I'll do that next time. But in the meantime, it's telling people or showing, for example, you got to just make it. And me being an instructor or teaching workshops, I can't show that to my students, and my students have to know that it's okay to make a mistake. Regardless, again, old, young, doesn't matter. Boy, girl, doesn't matter. We need to show that it's okay, and being perfect, really not a thing, but you just gotta do it and put your best foot out there and put your best line and just go with it. But if you're weeks in, and I understand brainstorming for a day or so, but a weeks in to a month, a year, and you see the person the following year and they're still standstill, it's a horrible feeling. And you start to blend in with the people that tend to, they do that fake it till you make it. And you just got to just do it. You just got to keep consistent. And I'm not saying fake it till you make it is a bad thing. I just think you just got to put your best foot out there, and you just got to creating. It's one of our God-given gifts to be able to be expressive, rather be the sense of showing. I want to show emotion. I want Aleroart to be this person to show an emotion. If it's sad, or is it happy? Hopefully it's happy, and hopefully it's funny, because that's where I'm going with that. I do try to go for the heart. I try to show compassion, and that's what I try to do. Other people could do horror and dramatic, scary, spooky stuff. I'm not for that, but I find it funny because my students always ask for spooky stuff, and I find it funny. But to that point, this word perfect is just this word that we prevent ourselves from doing. And for myself, I just gotta go with it. And I hope you do as well too. I just wanted to do this audio and just say just create. Just look at what your work is and put it out there, because we don't know what tomorrow brings us. I don't know what tomorrow brings from my curmudgeon mentor, but I would be really sad if I had to hear that this person had this idea and just couldn't do it. I understand if you have other priorities, that's fine, but if you have this greatest American story, just put it out there. And even if it's not, you did it. And it would be so cool if you just put his stuff out there. Even if it's a couple of pages or a page, just do it. I just want to end this now and just say thank you guys for checking this out. I'm getting ready for Comic-Con C2E2 here in Chicago. It is March 31st through April 2nd. I will be there in Artist Alley. The number for that is more of a letter, so I'm in letter Y. I hope I could see you guys there. I hope you guys that can't make it out there continue on checking out my Instagram page, my Twitter page, and all my other social media pages. I'm Aleroart, Alejandro Rosado, and I just want to say hope you guys are good. Hope you guys are great, and just keep on creating. Just create, okay? All right, I'm gonna see you guys around. Take care. Peace out. Bye.